There's more to imagine when you listen, so let your imagination soar with Audible. Audible has audio titles from every genre that will inspire you to imagine new worlds, possibilities, and ways of thinking. As an Audible member, you get to choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog. Enjoy an exciting reawakening of a beloved classic with the Audible original David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, produced by Academy Award-winning director Sam Mendes, starring Ncuti Gatwa, Helena Bonham Carter, and Theo James. This adaptation breathes new life into a familiar tale. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/imagine or text IMAGINE to 500-500. That's audible.com/imagine or text IMAGINE to 500-500.
Temp check. What kind of summer are we having this year? A family road trip summer? A beach bum summer? Or a wake me up when the sun sets summer? With Instacart, choose your own adventure and skip the shopping side quests. Where available, you can get ice cream delivered to your hotel, sunscreen to the pool, or cold brew to your bed. Well, door, in as fast as 30 minutes. Wherever you find yourself this summer, you can get the goods. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
Hello, welcome. Let's chat. It's hard. You want to talk? I know, that's disappointing. Sit back. Let's work this out. How's it going? What are we doing here? Where are you going? Hey there. Wow. It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it. Let's think about this. Strange. I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard. Trauma bonded.
T, I have a question for you. Should I go to the gym or just chill?
Okay, sorry, I can't get over the fact that you're naked. Sorry, I it's just weird. You should take a screen grab of this, because this is what I walked into, and I was like, am I on the right call right now? Or
For the record, I'm in a spa towel. It is nearly a dress, really.
And I'm fully clothed.
What is this, the top third? When you can only see the top third of me on film, it looks like I'm naked. I'm not. I would never podcast naked. Okay, see. Do you want me to put on a scarf or something?
It's a bit distracting, maybe. I don't know. I keep getting distracted.
I thought I could what's down there.
I know, it's weird. Like, I can't seem to handle it. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to, understand.
It's too hot to be fully clothed here.
So I just have to deal with you naked.
Okay, hold on. All right, stand by.
Okay, good. A shawl.
You're just going to see the sweat is going to be rolling down my head in a half an hour.
I appreciate you
acknowledging your puritanical sensibilities.
I know. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know.
Jesus, T.
I've been on calls all day with people fully clothed, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's jarring.
It's too hot. I can't do it.
Oh my God. Maybe move your camera up or something.
Oh.
I feel like any movement, I'll see a nip.
Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg here with Therese Garcia.
Hello.
And today we're discussing a rebroadcast of episode 203 of the podcast. This is actually happening. What if you were on the 68th floor? And this episode originally aired on September 14th, 2021, and it was from a special series that This Is Actually Happening did called The Long Shadow, and it was stories from 9/11 on its 20th anniversary. And a brief synopsis: Kayla is a Cajun who wanted to become a comedian, but ended up running the Port Authority in New York City during 9/11. She begins that Tuesday like any other in her office on the 68th floor of the World Trade Center. When the planes hit, she has a harrowing escape and then still has to run the Port Authority. She develops PTSD from all of the events surrounding that attack, including being blamed by grief-stricken families, looking for an answer, and her own survivor's guilt. The PTSD takes her to pretty low lows, including 2 DUIs. Only through her punishment was she finally diagnosed with PTSD, and her recovery truly began. And full disclosure, I'm the showrunner of This Is Actually Happening, and T knows nothing about anything. She comes in fresh. And this show, Trauma/Bonded, is for the listeners, a space where we can talk about each episode, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy and also a bit of levity. That's Trauma Bonded. T, what stuck out to you as the heart of Kayla's story?
Why don't you go first?
Okay. The heart of the story to me is about or around the stages of the sentiment, I'm lucky to be alive. At first, it's like euphoria. Like you find your way out of the building, through the soot, you run the 12 blocks, and at some moment you have I assume you have a moment, even if it's not said out loud, like, I just beat death. I'm alive. And it probably feels fucking amazing. And then you see how really lucky you are once the death toll is sort of released and reported on, you know, that lots of people died and that I escaped. I am lucky to be alive. And then in the work after, the conversations after, it becomes like a badge of honor, or it becomes like a perspective check. It's almost said out loud or uttered as a prayer to the dead. You know, I'm lucky to be alive. And it's also a condolence to your mother and your father who worry about you. It's okay, Mom. I'm lucky to be alive. And then it starts to turn. And then it's used against you. Like, you're alive. My son isn't.
You're lucky to be alive. Yeah.
Yeah. But you are. Why?
Yeah.
And then when you're finally alone and settled and without all the chaos and it's quiet and it's just a quiet reminder, I'm lucky to be alive. So why aren't I happy about it? Because being alive takes an effort. It takes will. It's expensive and laborious and repetitive. And you never know what's coming down the pipeline. And that's what makes it exciting and scary. But I say all of this to say my point. Being alive is so much more than not being dead.
Yeah, no, that's a really good heart. I think she talks a lot about being grateful.
Yeah. In all these ruminations, surely there are moments where you're going, at some point you're going, am I lucky to be alive? Not to denigrate the loss of lives that day, but considering what she went through, considering so many survivors went through after that, to be sort of evaporated in an instant might seem like a welcome alternative to some of the trials and tribulations you have to figure out after the fact. The business of being alive and how that looks now. Everything's different. I mean, talk about like a before and after. I mean, she was at like the height of, like, she was 28 years old, living in New York City, the way she describes, you know, coming out. And it's funny because when we had the series done, Wondery brought on an audio guide to like add music and flourishes and stuff to the episode. I don't know if you noticed those.
I did notice that, yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, we kiboshed a lot of those, but I'm kind of really happy that this one was kept in. This moment where she sets the stage for the day. She comes out of the subway and she goes and gets her venti mocha, and there's this busy, bustling plaza of the World Trade Center, and there's life. It's like truly life, and it's magical, and you're 28 years old, and you've got this amazing, stellar job, and you're living in the greatest city in the world, and life cannot be any brighter. And in one instant, really, everything was gone. Everything that she built for her life was gone. And she makes it starkly clear when she sets it up. And I feel like as time goes on and more things happen to us as we age, we probably can all look back maybe and see moments where, oh, everything is good, and something terribly expected but unexpected happens, and your whole world turns upside down.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, and also there's those moments where you're not really appreciating all the good things, and then something happens.
No, that's true.
And then you're like, I actually had it really good.
New perspective check.
You know?
What was I bitching about?
Yeah. So I try to be in that mindset all the time.
Well, that really is being present and grateful.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I feel like I'm really bad at that. I'm just constantly laundry listing all the things.
You're just going. It's like
fail.
Oh, I wasn't saying that.
Oh.
I was saying you go through your day, the routine.
Yeah. you're showering and you think listing the failures. You're
saying now I gotta get dressed.
Watching Love Island reunion, but thinking about how you failed because you'll never be on Love Island. I don't know.
It's different. You and me, different perspectives.
That's not why the show works.
Yeah.
We just have two different points of view.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to be that person that takes stock more and looks at the positive stuff. Like I feel good right now.
Yeah.
I'm a lady of a certain age and I feel good right now. Health, that's important. That's worth something,
those micro moments?
Yeah.
Of like real, true happiness?
Yes.
I get those sometimes just randomly.
Yeah.
And I try to just keep it going. I'm like, I'm feeling that. Keep
Grab
that
it.
going.
Put it in your pocket.
And then it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, shoot, I gotta get milk.
Fuck.
Fail.
Get milk. Fail.
Yeah. So, my her story, I went with one word on this one.
I'm glad you haven't changed, T.
Oh. The word I went with is flight.
Jesus, T.
Why? Is that too literal?
Are you going to relate flights back to drinking as well?
Oh, that's a good one. Obviously, the flight, right? The impact of the plane. That was kind of the trigger. Then everything that happens after that.
Oh, right. She was definitely in flight. Well, what is that?
Yeah.
Fight or flight? Because she was in fight.
So there's the different ways. There's different ways with flight, right? There is fight or flight, but so I'm just going to say flight also after the actual plane crash. She went a-running, right?
Yeah, that was a powerful moment.
You had to. And then after, with everything, she's really avoiding her emotions. So that's that fight or flight mode. It's like, I'm just going to, I guess she was avoiding her emotions, but really just going on with it and like just doing all the next steps to, help everyone and wasn't thinking about herself really. And then all her issues with the DUIs, the addiction, and coming out of that, it's kind of flight from, kind of that freedom that you get from kind of, getting rid of your past or the chains of your past and finally
soaring
recovering
up like
a phoenix
from the ashes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I went with flight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kayla is a real sweetie pie. Like I remember doing the pre-interview with her. I feel like this was early on. This is probably my first season working on the show. I remember finding her. We were finding stories for the 9/11 series and doing her pre-interview. And she's just like so sincere. Exactly the way she sounds in our episode is exactly how she is. She's just like wonderful. And she's just so open and vulnerable. And she really didn't grow up being like that. This is a practice for her since kind of starting to get well. Even though she calls herself sensitive, she wasn't used to being like sort of outwardly emotive. So it was a really big deal for her to do the show. We were really excited to have her. And I wish I would have thought of this earlier. I'm gonna try to get her to do a follow-up interview because I really want to know what's going on with her now.
Yeah.
Especially if she's still a moderate Republican. But let's do it. So she wanted to be a comedian when she was a kid, which I love. And
loved it.
She's sensitive, which goes with that. It all goes together.
Mm-hmm.
She lays out the male-female dynamic of father and mother, logic and charm from dad, plus the belt, and emotions and sensitivity and public service from the mom. Kind of standard issue. She talks about when she was a child, there was a neighborhood kid that invited her up to the attic, and as she put it, for more than Christmas decorations. Obviously, she's referring to some sort of sexual trauma, I assume.
Yeah.
What did you think of that edit? That's how it was sort of, that's how we heard it as listeners, that just this one sentence, if it was more than Christmas decorations, but we knew exactly what she meant by that. What did you think about that?
It's sad that we know exactly what that means.
That is sad.
It was before more than the Christmas decorations that I knew. When it was neighbor, kid, teenager, attic, asked me to go up to the attic, I was like, oh no.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's too bad that, you start to expect it, or you just assume that that's a reality.
Yeah. Well, and especially on this show, and especially, we ask people sort of what were defining moments of your life. We don't, we can't ask everyone to tell every detail they've had since they were born. And the fact that the stories that usually get brought forth on the show, which makes it seem like it's just like a sexual assault show a lot of the times, is because, one, those are the most damaging and informative things that happen to you when you're young.
Yep.
And two, unfortunately, it happens to a lot of people.
Yep.
I don't know if it's majority,
It's
but
a
it's
lot.
significant. There's a reason why it's called Me Too.
Yeah.
Almost everyone has experienced something like this, woman or man, and it becomes part of the quilt of our story, of our backstory, and especially when you're a person that has experienced it and then you choose to push it down for whatever reason, something that informative, that damaging is going to come. It's going to come back.
It's one of my biggest fears with the kids.
Yeah.
Like I was like, noted. No,
Yeah.
like I was like, neighbor kid. I was like, she didn't want to say it because she didn't want to ruin the parents' relationships. And I'm like, I need them to know that they're priority number one.
Yeah.
And that I would do anything to make sure that didn't happen. And then if it happens, they can tell me.
Right. That's what it ultimately comes down to, that they can tell you if something happens. Because at some point, you're going to have to decide when you step from, I don't trust them with nobody ever, to I have to show them that I trust them and give them a little bit of independence to go do something on their own and with their friends and maybe down the street, maybe someone's house. And it's like walking that tightrope.
They're not going to anyone's house. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. She lives with parents who she calls active alcoholics. I don't think I've ever heard that term exactly.
I know what that's like.
Living in this sort of chaos when you never know what's going to go on, when you never know who's at risk or who might be hurt or who might be yelled at or who might be injured, it was a system that helped her develop skills to be really good at sort of running the Port Authority. This whole idea of like constantly being on the edge of her seat, wondering what will go wrong, anticipating what could happen next. And so in a weird way, it is a fucked up way to give your kid a set of marketable skills. But I'm glad that she got to use them. It's better than them just being developed and then not getting paid for them at some point. Is that positive?
That's one way to look at it. Wow. That whole living in fear really comes in handy, later in the corporate world.
It all goes together, man.
Well, it all goes together, yeah. But hopefully you wouldn't have to go through all of that to succeed later in life.
But if you're just like grown up in a pool on like a champagne floaty and then being told like, you got to be concerned about all these systems, you're probably not going to have the skills to be able to do that. You'll just be like, yeah, someone will work it out. I don't know.
Like, blah, blah, blah. Give me another drink. Yeah.
She worked on political campaigns. She calls herself in the interview, which happened in 2021. She says she's a moderate Republican. I wonder if she still is. I wonder if that is even a thing that exists anymore. I guess there are people that call themselves Republicans for Harris. So maybe those are like the more moderate Republicans, or maybe they're just Republicans that fucking hate Trump.
Could be.
Like, they just can't call themselves that. So they call it Republicans for Harris.
Moderate. Yeah.
And even then, I mean, this was only 3 years ago, but, I think the hope was that we'd become less polarized by now. We definitely have not. We've become more polarized in the last 3 years. And she is right about it's still very much about winning and losing. And now it's even deepened to like fascism versus democracy. But yay, we won't talk about that. When she talks about being in New York City during this time, doesn't it? It feels like a different world. I mean, it quite literally was a different world then.
Yeah.
I mean, post 9/11, everything's different. the kids don't know. We barely know because we were like young and stupid when this happened. We didn't really even understand the far-reaching impacts of 9/11, but we see it all around us all the time now.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Port Authority bus terminal in Midtown?
Isn't that a subway terminal?
It's bus.
Oh, it's a bus?
I think there might be subways going
I think
through
I've
there
been to
too.
the subway, the Port Authority subway stop.
I've been to the bus area.
Oh, okay. And what's that like?
It's like if everything around you, every surface, every cloth, every skin just had like a thin layer of pee on it.
That's a good way to describe. That's because it hits you, on every sense, like sight, touch.
Yeah.
Maybe not hearing. Maybe.
Smell.
And then smell
Definitely
for
smell.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Taste.
Taste. Yeah, I can taste it, Yeah, great. I'm there.
Can I say that I Googled it, and because I just kind of wanted to remind myself of where it was, because I took it in like 2007 maybe. I took it from New York City to upstate New York.
Oh.
So I was Googling it, and the second thing that's the most popular Google ask, they have questions that people ask, is, can I sleep there?
Wow.
Isn't that sad?
That is sad.
Anyways, it sounded like she had an awesome job.
Best job of her life.
A world unto its own. She had a view of the Statue of Liberty. How cool is that?
Amazing.
And then she gets to the day that all of us know that day. All of us have a story of where we were that day and what we did that day. Do you remember that day?
I remember it exactly. I mean, I was in college in my apartment with my then girlfriend, and usually I have to go to class, and we were getting ready for school, and I randomly turned on the TV, which I never did in the morning. And then you just see, and I think it was snowing outside or something. It's really cold. But it was scary. It was scary because I was in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Close to New York, but, not New York. Yeah. And then we were just getting messages and phone calls. And it was
when
just,
you turned on the TV, had the second one already hit by then?
I think so.
The news outlets just played that footage over and over and over and over. Anyone that was an adult-ish during that time can close their eyes and watch that footage.
Yeah, just staring at the
their
TV.
Brain. And I was at work. It was my first job out of college. And yeah, they just they had TVs on wheels then. They just wheeled TVs into the break room. And everyone just stood around and watched the footage over and over and over again. And her boss, Neil Levin, again, rest in peace, Neil Levin, he was in Windows of the World. And do you know what Windows of the World is?
No, I'm not familiar.
Well, allow me.
Research alert.
Oh, yeah, research alert. Windows of the World was a complex of dining, meeting, and entertainment venues on the top floors of the North Tower.
Oh, God.
So floors 106 and 107. So basically, he's sitting there on breakfast, and then he's gone.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
She's sitting at her desk, and she feels a building shift. Now, I don't know if you can imagine being on a 68th floor of a building and feeling it shift.
Terrifying.
A considerable distance.
10 feet?
10 feet.
And that comes back.
What is that even? What? And she looks out the window and she sees papers. I mean, we can't underestimate the utter confusion that people must have felt experiencing what happened. It's so unbelievable. It could have never been, well, there's arguments about whether it could have been predicted or not, whatever. It was never a forethought at all, ever. And you're up so high, and you probably, anyone that has any kind of fear of heights probably already feels trepidation about being in a building that high. But if that's your day job, you just get used to it. You get on with it every day, and you're like, oh my God, there's a Statue of Liberty. I'm taller than her. She looks amazing out there. And you feel happy that you get to be in this, I don't know, symbol of America, really. That's the World Trade Center is, and that's especially what she'd learned after the 1993 bombing. This was an iconic landmark to the rest of the world of what America is, whatever that is to you, whether it's commerce or capitalism or freedom or secularism, however the rest of the world saw it. They saw the World Trade Center as a symbol of America. Already been through something in 1993. You figure, okay, well, that's done. That's been done and dusted. And now it's 2001. Surely nothing bad can happen again. And they lined all of the stairs with tape we can see now. And we practice getting out of this building. And you just, there's no way to prepare.
No.
And then I think about, it's a miracle that anyone got out of these buildings at all.
I can't imagine. There's so many people there.
There's so many people. It's from the way she describes the exit, it sounds like there's a lot of different creative ways that you can get out of the buildings. And for all of the first responders to get there so quickly and to put into motion ways of escape, for them to exit the building and not be able to see anything, and to hear that guy say, if you can see this light, come this way, like to anticipate and to know that people were going to be disoriented and panicked and unexercised in this exercise, and to be there and guide that. I mean,
and there's disabled folks and people carrying them down.
The sheer coordination of it all in the moment is a testament to how wonderful those agencies were. And of course, people were lost. Like you can't. It would be impossible to have like zero casualties, but the fact that so many people made it out is really, really a miracle. And I love this line. I love the way she says, "Get some pencils, get some pens.
It's all business. Let's do this. Let me get my." Isn't she like, what's she gonna do to the computer? She's gonna, let me turn off my computer.
Let me turn off my computer. Back
thinking
then,
about
you had to
security.
really turn off. Yeah,
you don't want anybody in there.
Yeah. Get some pencils, get some pens.
She was all business.
Go to the Marriott.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Have you ever covered a carpet stain with a rug, ignored a leaky faucet, pretended your half-painted living room is supposed to look like that? Well, you're not alone. We've all got unfinished home projects. But there's an easier way. Thumbtack is the app that makes it easier to care for your home. Pull out your phone and in just a few taps, search, chat, and book highly rated pros right in your neighborhood. Download Thumbtack and start caring for your home the easier way.
And she talks about this harrowing exit out of the building, which just sounds so chaotic but everyone's calm, right? Because
like,
no one really knows what the fuck is going on.
And
then when
going.
she gets an email, which I'm just shocked that she could read an email on a BlackBerry in 2001. It's her and her colleague. They're like, okay, can we pick up the pace, please? Hello.
Faster. This seems
this isn't
like
good.
Yeah.
So the building is twisted. The water chillers burst. Now they're trapped on the floor where they are, in the stairwell where they are. The water's flooding in. This is the first time she's like, oh, I might not make it.
Yeah.
Like death is at my door.
Yeah.
For sure. I can't even imagine how are you going to react? What are you going to do?
I mean,
Who are
she
you?
was so like almost accepting of it.
Yeah.
It seems like, it's like, is this, are we going to get out of here or are we not? You know, it's like very, I don't know. I was amazed because I don't think, I would think I'd be more like Patty, just screaming at some point, crying and screaming. She's like, stop screaming. You know,
stop. Let's go.
Let's keep
She's
going.
just like, let's go.
And it's like,
Well, and she says herself, like, you always wonder who you're going to be in those moments. And she got to see who she was. She's calm motherfucking bitch. She's calm. She keeps her head together and she keeps moving forward.
Yeah.
I could see myself possibly just being that bitch that sits in the corner and puts her head in her hands. I don't know. Because I also tend, when I see other people in stress, I tend to want to walk in and be a balance to that situation. So I could see maybe, I don't even want to tempt the universe with me talking out loud about what I am. I don't know, universe, what I am. I don't need to know. So just chill out.
I'm glad you said that. Now we're safe.
Can I tell you a little story that I read?
Yeah. That's why we're here.
I think this has to do with it. I cannot get this thing out of my head. I read it on Reddit. It was an Am I the Asshole post. And Am I the Asshole posts, people write in and basically crowdsource whether they were the asshole or not in a situation. And I think it was, or maybe it was relationship advice. It doesn't matter. Or maybe it was am I overreacting? There's also an Am I overreacting thread where you can ask if I'm overreacting or not. It's amazing.
It's nice. It's balancing it off, you know?
They write in, they're really open, and they want to know what people think, what the majority of people think they should have done. Okay, so this woman writes in. She is in the backyard with her husband at their home, and his niece, who's 4, is visiting, and his nephew, who's a baby in a basket, is visiting, and they're all outside in the backyard, and they're like grilling or whatever. So a couple things to note: she herself, they as a couple are child-free. She has chosen to be child-free. She doesn't even like kids. They're his family. He invited them over for the weekend. They're hanging out together.
I think this will be important later.
All of the details of all of my stories are very important. Back gate is open, and in comes running what appears to be a dog on the loose.
Okay.
Or it is a dog on the loose, whether it's a rabbit or not, it's hard to say. But it's a dog on the loose, and it's on a mission, and it's a pit bull, and he immediately goes for the 4-year-old girl and grabs her with his jaw. I guess you could say bite. Grabs a hold of her.
Yeah.
And our storyteller, the woman who wrote in, let's call her wife, she's right nearby, and her instincts kick in, and she just kicks this dog as hard as she can, like right in his jaw. And that forces him to let the niece go. And at that moment, wife yells to husband, go in the house and grab the bear spray in my purse. Her purse was right inside the door, and she had a can of bear spray in there just for stuff like this. She said she's always been paranoid about animal attacks. And so she keeps bear spray in her purse, and her husband knows this.
Okay.
So that's her command to him. Just go get the bear spray out of his purse.
Okay.
Out of your purse. You know what he does?
What?
He runs out the backyard and shuts the gate behind him.
Wait, but he doesn't go in the house. He goes out. He leaves.
He runs away.
Okay.
And seems to have shut the gate behind him to make sure
that he doesn't get attacked.
The dog can't chase him.
Where the dog isn't chasing him.
The dog's about to eat his niece and nephew and wife, and he takes off running. So the wife, throws the girl up on the coffee or picnic table, and then she takes the baby that's in like a bassinet and throws that up on the
grill.
The grill. It was the grill.
It was the grill?
It was the grill. It wasn't like hot or anything.
Oh, okay.
But she in the moment, she knows if she's holding it, though, because she's short, she said, she was afraid if she was holding the baby, the baby could get injured if the dog just came after her. So she threw the baby away, and then she grabs like a shovel and just beating the shit out of this dog.
Oh my God.
And it doesn't say if it died or anything, but finally they're free. And then once all the sound has stopped, the husband comes back in the yard. Like, it's almost like he was like waiting behind.
I went to Target and bought bear spray.
Oh, you said it was in the house?
Oh my God. Sorry.
Oh my God. I thought you said go to Target and get bear spray quick. So he comes back. He loads them into the car. They go to the hospital. Wife has severe bites. Niece has severe bites.
Baby okay?
Baby wasn't touched at all. But now wife, after all is said and done, is like, who the fuck am I married to?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And to say some other details, like the parents were eternally grateful to her. They like gave her $1,000. They sent her cards and flowers saying like they recognized that she saved their children's lives, and they're not speaking to the brother.
Oh.
So they get back to the house, wife and husband, and she's not asking him directly, where were you? She's waiting for him to say where he went and why he went.
He didn't go to Target, did he?
No. Long story short.
He's just looking through a hole, waiting until the dog's dead.
But finally he says, are you going to keep giving me the silent treatment? I'm sure he's full of shame, but he doesn't lead with that. He doesn't lead with, I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened.
Right.
I got scared, da-da-da-da.
He blames her. Yeah.
He's mad that she's boxing him out.
Mhm.
So her whole thing to Reddit is like, what do I do? Because I have different feelings about my husband now.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm getting to the point, y'all, I swear. And people were writing in saying, like, maybe he had a traumatic event with a dog when he was a kid, and that was his instinct, was to run away.
Okay.
And her response to that was, that's okay. If that's true, that's okay. But what I'm realizing is people always say when something like this happens, you find out if you're a runner or a fighter.
Uh-huh.
And what I've realized is that I'm a fighter, and I want to be with a fighter.
Oh.
Right? And it was like so simple, but so profound.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, girl, you're a fighter and you should be with a fighter.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Again, not exactly related to what we're talking about, but it is. Yeah, it's those moments like, who
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get in the pool and have champagne and, you know, take a walk around the neighborhood and go to bed in 1,000 count sheets. Like that's a life that's easy to live. But when push comes to shove and something is happening that you had no expectation for, like you really do find out what the core of your soul is.
Yeah.
Some of us probably don't want to know.
I have no idea. But yeah, it's like, you know, if you're getting attacked or something and then you throw your wife in front of you or something, you're like, oh, I mean, it's just awkward. Like you don't actually get attacked. Nothing happens. Like, did you just throw me in front of you to get attacked?
How do you walk
as
back
a
from that?
shield to defend yourself?
You can't come back from
you
that.
can't. It's like, ooh, wow.
Ooh, it's like I just showed you my soul. I
Yeah.
just showed you my soul, my dark, dark soul. And it might be instinct, and that's totally fine. But what it comes down to, do you want to be with someone whose instinct is to have a dark soul, or do you want to be with someone whose instinct is to prefer others above themselves?
Well, it's
truly walk
fear, you
in
know.
love? I know. but
Dark
it's-
soul or not. I mean, it's fear. But also, it might change. Your instinct might change depending on many different factors.
the situation, totally.
Right? Many,
Yeah.
many different factors. Could be exactly the same things happening, but like one person is reacting a different way, or some things happen, you know.
I want to
you're
hear
in a
more
different
of these
position.
stories.
Yeah.
And then someone else later, and I followed that story because I was so curious to know. Someone else wrote in later describing a different situation, and then everyone in the comments was just talking about the dog story. Like, this reminds me of another thing on Reddit.
Oh,
And so then all of us that were like that knew exactly what they were talking about. We were, anyway.
very interesting.
Yeah. I hope I'm a fighter. When I was mugged, it happened really fast, but I was calm.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all I can go by. Okay, so her getting out of the building, that was confusing, right? I mean, it just sounds like all these, like...
It was a little confusing. There's a lot going on.
I assume that it's not just like the buildings that we see. I mean, we see the two just standing buildings, but down below, like the plaza and all this stuff, that's probably all like kind of interconnected at some point, like 20th story or something. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, that makes
like
sense.
stairways to like balconies to, and then like you go out a back door and all of a sudden you're on the city street.
Because I was like, oh, we're outside. I was like so confused.
Yeah. I assume it's just like a big menage of stuff.
That makes sense now, yeah.
You got the Port Authority police who know the buildings inside and out, and they're showing up going, hey, you can't get out this way, come this way. And they're saying go back up. And it's like you're going back up toward the fire. You don't want to go back up, but sometimes you got to go back up to get out. And just, I can't imagine the sheer panic in these moments of like, where are we going and how are we getting out of here? And it's just like blind trust, following this police and trying to get out of the building. And they go up, they go over desks, they get to another stairwell, they get outside. It looks like snow, but it's just ash.
Yeah.
It's like ash. And there's no footprints or it's just coming down so hard that there are no footprints. You have no idea where you are, just pure chaos. And what a miracle to walk away. And then to see a light and being told to follow the light. And then the first thing he says to you is, run.
I know, you're like, oh my God, I'm finally out. Okay, we're safe.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Get out of here.
I've been running. It's not like I've just been hanging out. Now I've got to run again.
And you have no idea, like, in hindsight, it's one thing. We can talk about it and understand what was going on, but they had no understanding of what was going on at all. At all. They had no idea. They're in it. They're literally in it. Spear pumps, man. So
ran 16 blocks.
And those are probably big fucking city blocks, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah.
She finds out that the Marriott had collapsed with her senior staff in it.
Yeah.
And then they start to figure out who's dead and who's alive. Man, those moments of like people calling in and just like the eruption of cheers, knowing that someone else is alive, must have been incredible. I mean, talk about the manicness of it, the high highs and the low lows.
Yeah.
And then she finally gets home and she talks about there's this smell of death, this eerie dust and soot on everything. And she was too afraid to sleep in her bed. T, why do you think she was too afraid to sleep in her bed?
Yeah, she couldn't figure that out either, right?
Well, what do you think?
I guess to me it was like, you don't want to feel comfortable enough to kind of lose the awareness of what could happen, you know? You want to be a little bit uncomfortable or not in your, so that just in case you're up and out, That's how I was thinking maybe.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Another way to put this, I think it was already the start of like survivor's guilt.
Oh.
Like I think exactly what you're saying, like being on a couch is more uncomfortable and maybe I can be more on edge on a couch. I can be up and at 'em.
Yeah.
But then I think there's this element of I don't deserve a bed.
Wow.
I don't deserve a comfortable night's sleep, a sound sleep. A bed says ready for peaceful sleep. A couch says I'm ready for action.
I'm ready for action. I'm ready to prevent things. And then I'm ready to help.
And I think there is this clear demarcation of before and after. It's like the bed is before. The couch is new. It's like after. It's like what life is now. It's like it's a symbol for change.
Deep, Elly.
So she worked her ass off as a way to show strength, to take away the focus of the tragedy and to relieve her survivor's guilt. I'm going to work my ass. I'm going to do whatever I can. I made it out alive. I'm alive. And now I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that other people are alive. And she didn't sleep and she just worked. And they sent a rabbi to her. And was this a shocker to you that this is the first hug she got?
It was. I thought people might be hugging.
Why aren't people hugging?
I would have hugged Patty.
Yeah, I would have hugged Patty so many times.
We made it, And then hugging. And then crying.
Hugging again.
Yeah, hugging and crying.
This says a lot about her and maybe the way that she wasn't like that. So,
yeah.
And then maybe it speaks a lot about the time and maybe there was a level of professionalism 20 years ago that doesn't exist today where people kept their hands to themselves in the workplace, even when tragedy is occurring. It's hard to say, but we need to hug. We've talked about
let's
this
get
before.
with the
You guys
hugging.
hug. You need at least 12 a day for baseline mental health.
I get like at least double that.
100. You get like 100 a day.
And it could like count, like a hug could count as like several hugs because it's like the longest thing.
Yeah. And it's good.
Or
It's a good
snuggling,
tight
if you're
one.
snuggling,
Snuggling, yeah.
you know?
It makes me really sad.
It
That's the first
does.
hug she got.
And it really
Um,
helped her, which is an indication
And
that
she
you should get
needed
more
it.
of those.
Yeah. Seeing pics of loved ones everywhere, just that initial aftermath of where did everyone go? There was this place with hustle and bustle and buildings and people.
Full of life.
And noises
Yeah.
and concerts and venti mochas, and it's all obliterated
Yeah.
into dust, to nothing.
Yep.
That's hard to reconcile in yourself as a survivor. She went to 33 funerals. It is death all around you. And then they get to the 9/11 hearing, and people are saying the Port Authority killed their children. Oh, well, the Port Authority should have known that planes are going to hit the building. What? I mean, grief and the unknown. We have to find something to blame.
Yep.
How could we have prevented this? Could it have been prevented? Could it have been prevented? I mean, I think we'd have to undo about 100 years of American imperialism around the world to undo terrorism.
Let's rewind 100 years and yeah.
You're lucky to be alive. So this is something else I was thinking. You know, Kayla's story is not unique. So many people don't know how to deal with those kind of experiences that she endured. She had this incredible escape, but she saw terrible things. She lost people close to her, and she's working tirelessly. How could you have a better outcome than what Kayla did? Like, it seems impossible. Anyone, no matter how healthy you consider yourself, it seems impossible to float through this beautiful butterfly. Even the most grounded or healthy of us couldn't have made it through this gracefully. That's what I want Kayla to know. No one could have made it through this gracefully. Or very few people could. Even the most healthy of us couldn't. Like, this shit is the shit that tests who you are. And 99%, dare I say 100% of us are ill-equipped to face a tragedy like this.
I'd say it's closer to 100%.
Right? And everyone in New York has an opinion. I thought that was funny. So true. She doesn't say why she left New York, but she moved to Florida to help clean the Everglades. And the new Florida governor that came in 2011, that was that motherfucker Rick Scott. And he's going to cut anything that has to do with the environment. So he cuts her job. And now her mom is in 4th stage lung cancer. And the edit just drops it in there. It doesn't like give a run up to the DUI, but all of a sudden we know that she has a DUI. And this is the shit of life.
Yep.
This is the shit. And I mean that in a bad way, like the bad way shit is. You can't work, or you've been laid off. You have a DU fucking I. You're drunk all the time, which just amps up every anxiety that you have. Your mom's dying. You're walking around with PTSD and it's undiagnosed. And you live in Florida. That is about as low.
The Florida part. Are you saying because she can be with her mom or just because it's Florida?
No, you live in fucking Florida.
Okay,
You're
that's
fucking
okay.
Rick Scott's your
Yeah,
governor, for
yeah.
fuck's sake. And you're in Florida, the people that live in Florida. And January, so she loses her mother in January 2017. She moves to Atlanta and she gets her second DUI.
Yeah.
She's plagued with anxiety and flashbacks. And you know what gets rid of that? Lots of wine.
Yep.
She worked at Subway for 3 years, for fuck's sake. She lost her condo and her pension. And finally, she was sentenced to accountability court in Georgia. And that's when she was diagnosed with PTSD. And it never occurred to her that she might be walking around with PTSD. from either what she went through in 9/11 or the tragedy that she endured as a kid.
Yeah,
Be
both.
it,
Both
like,
played
living
a
in a
part.
volatile household / what happened with the Christmas decorations. You know, so many things accumulated or contributed to her current state of mind. And so in some ways, like she says it herself, these punishments set forth by the government sort of saved her.
It really did. I mean, she was able to go to therapy and doctor group therapy. Those are like requirements, right? Like after things like that.
And her therapist recommends that she speak to people that she went through this with. And that sounds like it was really important for her to say aloud, I am sorry I almost killed you. And for someone to say back to you, you did what you could with the information you had at the time.
That was always the plan. That was
always
hub.
the plan.
We said we're going to go there.
How could you have known? How could you have known? And you can tell yourself that all day. How could I have known? But it's like you need someone else to co-sign that thought.
Yeah.
To promise you that they don't blame you, that they see it completely, truly as it is as well. And she really hoped in the aftermath that all of this political divisiveness would be gone. And people were kind for a while. And then it really started this slant toward super crazy nationalism, which we're in right now. March 22nd, 2017 was her last drink. Good for you, Kayla. And now she's passionate about the walking wounded. And she says that alcoholism feeds PTSD and PTSD feeds alcoholism. And ain't that the truth? She says her future is bright and she's grateful. What a story. What, T, do you have, did I skip over anything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I would love to know how she's doing now. I hope she's still doing well. Because this was how many years ago? 3 years ago?
3 years. I think I'm really going to pursue this interview because her and I definitely developed a rapport when we talked. So, yeah, I'm going to reach out to her. Hopefully, you guys next month, we can have a storyteller update from Kayla. Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Bonded. You can find our show where podcasts are kept. Please rate and review us. Thanks to Kayla for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. I am going to try to get that follow-up interview with her. In the meantime, go listen to my follow-up interview with Guillermo. I did it a few weeks ago. He's so wonderful, and he has a hell of a follow-up to his story. We will have a special announcement in the next month. Right, T?
Yes, sir.
How's that for a teaser? That's all I can say about that. Oh, is there a Forrest Gump 2 on the horizon? Because I found a YouTube trailer, and it looks fake, but I'm worried.
I haven't heard. Why are you worried?
Is anyone listening to this outro at this point?
No, they've already stopped. They stopped it like half an hour ago.
See, this way you can't just not listen to the outro, because I might say something new. Thanks to this Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, and Andrew Waits, the maker of our music and website, Nathaniel Trimboli, and thanks to Cathy Sites for editing this episode, and Katie Cable for building those blasted Instagram posts. Forget the rest. Go to YouTube, baby. We have youtube.com/@Trauma Bonded Official. You can contact us at TraumaBondedPod@gmail and find us on Instagram at TraumaBondedPodOfficial. We are trauma bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listeners, and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. Love you, T.
Love you, Elly. Good job. Hey, thank you.
Hey, thank you. Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Trauma Bonded.